even no field no more.
Everything is just gone.
Yeah.
You had the big field, and then where y'all used to play tackle at the end of the game.
When the big kids was playing over there.
Yeah, playing over there, playing tackle right there. The little press box from the little field down there is gone.
Mm-hmm. All the light poles gone.
The field's up here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was like
it was two. It was a couple of them up there.
Yeah.
Because y'all used to practice up there, and then the concession stand.
Mm-hmm.
This place used to be crazy. Remember?
Yeah.
I mean, you come down here, and we had to park up there. We had to park way up there and walk down because there was so many cars. Everybody's here practicing, or especially on game days. Or when we did the food, the fish fry stuff.
Yeah.
For the teams and sell it to try to make some money. Man, but this is where it started.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it started.
I even told my wife and family that, when I met Michael, I said, you guys will be watching him on Sunday before long. I said, so pay attention.
Mike is that dude. Like, his dad said it best, like, that businessman.
4 seconds to go in the quarter, and that one short and intercepted. Michael Carter on the interception for Duke.
Put it like this, I think we all knew or felt Mike would have a chance.
Mike, I'm gonna show another video of my fastness, because I'm pretty fast, so.
Not only was he a phenomenal athlete playing football and baseball, but he was an amazing person.
He just always had this aura about him. I just felt like deserved all the blessings of life that he could obtain.
Intercepted!
He's like a man that could go to work with his lunchbox in his hand. He just go to work, on time. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be buttoned up. I go, okay, we got something different here, because this kid, he has some stuff that other kids just don't have.
I forgot all about this one here. So his first book, Mike did, kind of highlighting what he wanted to do and what he wanted to be when he got older.
Well, he mentioned he believed his greatest strength is sports. Here.
This is right there, man.
On the other side.
No, he's
right
reading
here.
that. But right here he says, okay, someday I'd like to be a professional athlete. It's crazy. And then look at him.
I grew up in Douglasville, Georgia, Paulding County.
Michael was quiet, a peacemaker, non-confrontational, maybe argument here and there with his twin sister.
Sneaky, but adventurous. Want to know what's going on with this, what's going on with that. Sports.
Very easy to raise. Just one of those good kids. I'm not just saying that because he's mine, but he was definitely a good kid.
And my pops was in law enforcement in a variety of different roles. I think growing up in a household that was, run by a stern man like him was definitely helpful. And, me growing up and how I see things.
His dad was the first to recognize his abilities in sports.
And then the real baseball as a young kid, the talent was there, man. I mean, I don't know what he was good. It was just finding the right position for him. Finding the right position, because I think here he's at third base. He played the outfield, he did some pitching. When you're young, he's just all over the place. And as he got older, he kind of gravitated to the outfield.
I was very supportive of baseball. I liked the fact that it was a non-contact sport, and so that was one of the first sports that he was introduced to because that's what his dad played.
I played baseball all my life. I played baseball in college, so for me, that was That was the thing I wanted to get him started into baseball.
As far as when I was young, man, I thought my dad was like all world. You know, I was like, oh yeah, my dad, you know, he about went to the pros. You know, and I'm not sure, you know, how true that was, but I know he was really good. You know, he hit home runs, something that I was more of like a doubles and triples, and he was like the power guy, but with speed.
He was doing good in baseball. I could tell because we used to go out on the side of the house. Again, you know, the side of our house was like our field. We used to go out there, catch, hit off a tee. So I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good.
Had never really thought about football up until, you know, the point we kind of got there and I was like 9.
When they started discussing football, me being the protective mom that I am, I was completely against it. But, you know, if that's what he wanted to do, I was willing to, you know, support it.
And then at about 9 to 10, can I play now? It's like, okay, we're gonna play football. And, you know, he got out there and I'm like, man, he's good at both.
You know, it's more special coming back than I thought it would be, just looking out here, even though it's barren, ain't nothing really out here, but, you know, it's definitely cool to see it and see how, you know, that moment here on this field kind of shaped, you know, my whole view in life.
The infamous first day of pads and the first day of contact. Again, I'm not one of those parents. I'm not all on the field, so I'm behind the fence. And it's just a nice day like today.
First started playing football when I was 9, not knowing, you know, the physical element of the game.
He had been in the yard playing football with the other kids in the neighborhood. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be a little different now. Let's see how this go. You know, like, man, first day, I'm eager because I can't wait to tell everybody, man, boy, had his first practice, boy, looked good. He's looking good out there and leaning over on the fence. And they did each kid on each end, you laying on your back. One kid has the ball, and the coach said, blow the whistle, and you get up, and you got to tackle him.
I was on the tackling end. Coach blows the whistle, get up.
Well, he got up, he made the tackle, but that kid put that helmet right there in his chest.
And you ain't tell me how to tackle. You ain't tell me how to tackle.
Well,
and show me no tutorial.
Yeah. We didn't have too many tutorial sessions about tackling and whatnot.
I was like, nope, this is it. I'm not playing this anymore. You know, I couldn't breathe. I'm out there, take all my stuff off.
He was just laying down, and, you know, he got up and he was crying. And I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm like, you okay? It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Stop all of that. It's gonna be all right. I think he was just shocked. Like, man, this is what football is all about.
My dad was there. You know, he consoled me, let me know, you know, everything was all right.
So he turns around and I'm kind of rubbing his shoulders and I go, all right, time to go back out there. And he turns around with that. I was like, no, it's time to go. I said, you know, and I could tell he didn't want to go.
And he was like, all right, ready? You ready to go back out? And I probably looked at him with like the craziest look ever. Like, what you mean? Like, I'm ready to go home.
We're not quitting. I said a couple of things. One, that's not something we do. Two, we don't already paid our money, right? So you're not quitting. Put the shoulder pads on, get back out there. And I told the coach, I said, put him right back up in the front. Let him go first. Let him go. We got it straight after that day, though.
They just gave you the big shoulder pads and the egg helmets.
You know, he got a couple more tackles and got the contact, and the rest was history. The rest is history.
I remember I was here when this was still grass.
Yeah, for real?
Yeah. It was like they put turf here like my sophomore year of high school. I mean, it's held up pretty nice.
There's a couple spots that are rough.
Yeah, but
Like, how's it feel to be back?
It's always good to come back, man. I got a lot of memories, a lot of plays made, you know, a lot of friends. Shoot, I think before me and my wife started dating, me and Allie, we took our first picture was out here on the field. So it's definitely a special place.
His freshman year, you know, that we had such a his class and the class before his were very talented class, you know, coming through South Paulding that we've seen in a while. So we made the freshmen stay with the freshmen. We never let a freshman play up on a varsity game on a Friday night. So when the freshman season was over, and they would pick certain guys to dress out and continue on with the varsity. And we were trying to prepare them for the varsity level, you know, and so we let some kids, the freshmen, and of course Michael was one of them, and we were in a game on a Friday night, and we were up 3 or 4 touchdowns. It was late in the game, and I snuck him in. You know, his head coach at the time was, you know, no freshman on the field on Friday, so I said, hey, why don't you go in for a couple of series? And I just wanted to get his feet wet, let him see the speed of the game. And man, he went in, first play, he comes, fills the lane, fills the alleys. I think he tackled this guy for loss. They start hollering his name on the announcement. Head coach come over the headphones wanting to know who in the world put him in the game. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Come on, you shouldn't have done that, but good job. And it was then that you knew that he had the speed to play, you know, as a freshman, he could have played varsity easily and been a starter.
We just knew that he was going to be special early on. So he has always been that way ever since he stepped on our campus. So at South when he was there. So it was important to make sure that he knew that as well.
So the name I Dare You Academy, we started to call I Dare You Academy, which is the name kind of like a mantra of who we are. As far as I dare you, we're like, man, I dare you to challenge me. So then in 2006, we just started with 3 kids, and 3 came to 10. And then I just got really good at like developing DBs to the point where I just became a household name, you know, from farthest east to the farthest west, where I was just really good at developing DBs. So that's kind of how I started.
Like, we didn't know about recruiting, or we didn't know about how you get to school or stuff like that. I was just like, man, you know, I just want to go to Georgia or something, and, you know, maybe I'll play football. And as I got progressed and everything like that, and then started going to camps, started to shift my focus to football from baseball, was when I kind of got that belief that, oh, okay, I can do something with this.
As soon as baseball practice was over, we were headed out going to football training. So with his training group, it's called I Dare You, and we used to drive into the city.
I met Mike, we was at Anderson Park, which is still Anderson Park, it's in Atlanta, Georgia. And his dad, which is a real good friend of mine, you know, he kind of brought him out there. I think Mike was kind of in the 9th grade going to the 10th. And at that point now, and like when he came out, we was like, we may have 200-300 kids out there. So we was known everywhere. So first impression of Mike is the same thing now. He was just a real, like, quiet kid, you know, kind of reserved. So you really don't know kind of what, we didn't know what we had in him when he came out there. He was just so quiet, you know, but what you could see, you know, from the first day he was out there, he was just so fast. You could see he was fast and he was very twitchy.
What was his nickname, and how did that kind of embody who he is as a player and a person?
We call him the businessman.
His talent in football was truly special.
What's your mentality when you step onto the field?
When?
He just gonna come in and he gonna handle business. And that's what kind of the kids look at him that way. They're like, hey man, when Mike come, he gonna be on time, he gonna be where he's supposed to be, and when he get here, he gonna do what he's supposed to do.
You know, you got these guys that are amazing athletes and can do, you know, things that's, you know, just supernatural sometimes. And it came natural to him. It was, but, you know, to know him, you would never know it.
He'd go about his football, the games, the training, practice, and everything, just like a businessman. He'd go to work, he'd put his time in, and then he's gone.
It was important for me to allow him to be who he was without putting those expectations on him, because he was not going to talk about him anyways. He was just going to do what you asked him to do. He was going to have great effort, great energy.
Probably going into his 11th grade year, you can see kind of like the versatility that he had. You know, when you see a kid that has that speed, but also he has a physical nature to him. He's a very physical kid, meaning that he don't mind tackling.
Just his rhythm, you know, I call it swag. You know, his footwork was really amazing. and he just had a natural instinct to get to the ball. It's like he knew what was coming, and then his reaction time to get to the play, to make a play, was unbelievable. And even, you know, I think with his size, and you know, he wasn't the tallest corner or the tallest safety on the field, and you would see that they would try to go after him a couple of times, but they regretted it later.
He came back today to pour into you guys and kind of tell you what it means not only to be a Spartan, but to be a true student athlete, and it's a testament of him. And I want to say I appreciate you so much for coming here today. He's going to tell you guys what it means to be an athlete, to be a student athlete, and then the work that goes in to getting to the highest of highest levels, which it is the NFL and the college football ranks. As you guys know, 1% of our athletes will go on to play college football.
We knew all the college coaches, you know, pretty much in America, so they knew him because we were sitting the list. Hey man, look at this kid, look at Mike. So they knew who he was. He was recruited. He had a bunch of offers, but the blue blood schools, they overlooked him, you know, because he wasn't the ideal height or he wasn't the ideal girth-wise, you know, and even some schools like, oh man, we don't think he's fast enough. And I was like, man, are you kidding me? Like, have you looked at his film, you know? And 3 years later, you know, in the combine, he ran 4.3 twice. You know, so, you know, it's kind of, you go back to the coaches and say, hey man, I thought, you know, remember you said he wasn't fast enough. Is he fast enough now?
First time I met Mike was just finishing his freshman year. We had a camp in June at Duke University, one of our basic summer camps. And there was this 5'9" guy from South Paulding High School outside of Atlanta. And he lined up for his first 40 year in 4.44. And I was like, damn, this guy can go. And I knew who he was. It was my recruiting area, so I knew who he was, but I didn't know he was quite that fast. And hadn't even started his sophomore year yet. And then we lined him up again, and he ran it again. So back-to-back 4.44s, and I was like, this guy's got something to him. And then doing drill work throughout the day, we loved what we saw out of him. And after that, we offered him a scholarship at Duke University.
Duke was the first to offer. They offered him. They came and saw a couple of games. And Coach said, I remember him when he was up there for the camp. I knew he was going to be special then, and you know, we wanted to get him on board, and they were really persistent.
Mike has always been a pro. Not everybody's a pro. You know, when you first sit down with people, you may like certain traits that somebody has, or you may like the mental makeup of somebody, but they may not be as well-rounded and complete as Mike is. Mike was complete as a prospect. Mike wasn't the biggest prospect. You know, that's part of the reason that, you know, some of the teams may have overlooked Mike at one point in the recruiting cycle, but Mike was complete. Mike could run, Mike could cover, Mike could tackle. He had mentality, who he was as a student, who he was as a person. Mike's been complete from the start.
Tell me a little bit about the recruiting process and how it's going for you right now. I know that you've committed to Duke. Tell me about some of the other schools and how that whole process went around.
With Duke is kind of like, it's kind of interesting how he got to Duke. You know, with Derrick Jones was his coach at Duke, like outstanding guy. And to be honest with you, it probably was the best pair coach for Mike because, you know, with the person that Coach Jones is, it was just a really good match with them two. You know, but again, a couple schools who overlooked Mike kind of called Coach Jones, hey man, look, we kind of full here, you might want to look at this kid. And then Coach Jones, you know, kind of got on him, recruited him, and they kind of, you know, that's how he got to Duke. But it was a very, very good match when you look at it from this standpoint now.
You know, at Duke University, we had you know, some of the best years ever in Duke football history when we were there. We were playing AC championships, multiple bowl wins, really got Duke rolling to what it is today.
I'm gonna tell you what this thing really comes down to. 5 years, 4 years. When we took this job, I was so proud, and we were out recruiting, out there hunting all you guys. Here you all are. And I wanted Duke football. You asked Pickle on everything. Didn't want just Duke. Duke football, Duke football. Every airport I was in, somebody was gonna come by with a joke. Oh, y'all got a football team? Y'all really play football at Duke? I heard it, and I heard it, and I heard it. All it did was fuel the fire. Fuel the fire. Wanted to find you, and you, and you, and you. We recruited a great bunch of people here. Outstanding athletes. Outstanding athletes. Does Duke play football? Yes, sir. You're damn right we play football.
Mike was not recruited by a lot of the schools in the footprint of where he lived. You know, he's at South Paulding High School, which is, you know, about 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so outside of Atlanta. He didn't have the SEC schools recruiting him. Georgia wasn't recruiting him. You know, a lot of people looked at him as an undersized guy that maybe didn't quite fit that profile. For us, you know, we thought he was a perfect fit for us. What he's done as a slot corner, which to me the recruitment of that position has evolved over time, but the makeup of that position was huge for us. And yeah, we didn't care that he might have been an inch shorter than what some of the other guys recruiting. He was perfect for us.
Coach Cutcliffe had this saying at the time, you know, do you want a 4-year degree or a 40-year? Right? Do you just want this for 4 years, or do you want this experience to last you for the next 40 years? And I think that stuck with him. And in the end, even though he had narrowed his choices down to some top schools, he decided, you know, Duke is where I want to be.
Don't disappoint yourself. This is that opportunity to make that statement with the people, as Mitch told you. You were chosen. You were chosen for a reason, on and off the field.
It was the first day, report day in June, freshman year of college. You know, there's angst and everything like that. I'm sure, you know, that God knew that was on my heart, all the anxiety and everything like that, like going away from home, leaving my family and everything.
We were in Walmart. A young lady walked up to us that we had never seen before. It was the most special moment. And she comes out of the blue and she tells him, taps him on the shoulder, and I'm looking around like, who is this lady we have never seen before?
This lady walks up to us and she asks me,
"You play football?" And he says, "Yes." So I'm looking at him because I'm like, he had on no paraphernalia, none whatsoever to identify himself as a football player at Duke. She said, you want to go to the NFL? You're going to the NFL, is what she actually said. And I looked at her and I said, how do you know he played football, and how do you know he's going to the NFL?
It was just like, you know, God told me to tell you that, you know, one day you're gonna play in the NFL. You know, you just gotta, you know, stay focused. You know, keep your eyes on me.
And she says, I know he's going to the NFL. And she looked at my son and she said, do you want to go to the NFL? Are those your plans? And he said, yes. And she took his hand and she started speaking in tongues. And she says, mark this day, you're just passing through. You're going to the NFL. I said, this woman just prophesied about my son.
You know, prophecy is not real until it is true.
His freshman year in 2017, we had played a game against Georgia Tech, and our starting nickel at the time was a guy named Jeremy McDuffie, who was a Thorpe semifinalist, and Jeremy tore his ACL in that game. So we had one game left of the season. We were actually needed that win to get bowl eligible, and we went on the road to Wake Forest, and Mike had his first start. And just watching that game from up top in the press box, I knew we had something special.
Be a yard shy of the first down at the 34. Michael Carter, the tackle. Carter seeing action because of the injury to Jeremy McDuffie.
I had ended up getting my first 2 starts my freshman year. You know, I come back in camp and they tell me, all right, we're moving you to corner. So I was like, why are you gonna move me to corner when I can just compete for a job, or I can just start? Because y'all saw I was able to do it.
And I remember Coach Jones saying, what I'm doing is gonna prepare him for the next level. And moving him around, he will be able to play all these different positions.
Yeah, position flex is so important in today's game in college or in the NFL with roster sizes. So when we look at guys and we say, okay, he may major in one thing, but does he have the flexibility to do something else? And Mike's unique because he can really excel at a number of things.
And they really put in perspective was this, basically, you know, the more you can do, the more valuable you'll be. And even though I was like, you know, I'm in college, I'm playing D1 football, I still, until that moment, playing in the NFL seemed like this far thing, even though this woman told me I was going to do it. You know, my coaches in high school told me I had the ability to do it. But me, I was out there, I was just having fun, being in the present. Never really looked at it like that. And so I embraced that role from then on out, you know, in the middle of camp.
I heard you've been playing some cornerback too. What's the preparation different? How's the preparation different for that compared to safety?
You're out there on that island, and you got to be mentally tough.
It was 2018. We were at Northwestern.
You know, our slot guy's coming back from the injury, but it's still not feeling right. And so they sit him out. They move me into the inside. So I'm back at the slot. You know, first couple possessions of the game, I get a couple tackles, then I end up getting my first interception in college.
In terms of what you do when that play calling changes. This one intercepted down the sideline. Michael Carter.
He was our starting nickel. He had a pick actually on the sideline in that game, and we had a really good corner go down with an injury.
You know, unfortunately, one of our corners, he ends up hurting his hip. So then they moved me back outside.
And in that same game, he played some high safety for us. Not many guys can do that.
Coverage incomplete. Michael Carter was over there, the sophomore defensive back.
From the rest of that season, you know, I was just playing outside, but that game was really special. I think I had like 10 tackles and like 4 pass breakups and an interception. Getting those reps, I think, was just invaluable because, you know, then the next year I'm back inside. But then, you know, we play somebody like UNC that year, and they have a really good receiver. And they're like, all right, we need you to match him. But he plays outside. They move me outside. But it's like I've been here before, so it was nothing to be able to do that. And then obviously senior year, you know, whatever they needed, I was able to do and provide at a high level.
You going back and forth, quarterback, safety, or is there any indication of where you're gonna slide in this year?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I'll play wherever they need me to.
Carter on the coverage.
During his tenure at Duke, I constantly reminded him, remember the lady in Walmart?
As I was going through these stages in life in college, and things were starting to shape out in the way they were, and then my mind would just be pulled back to that incident in Walmart where the woman basically prophesied over my life now.
I mean, he developed as a person, he developed as a player, he developed as a student. That's a normal progression throughout college, but to me, the leadership was the biggest thing. You know, Mike's a quiet by nature guy. He's gonna lead by example, but Mike became a vocal leader during his time. He became a captain during his time. To be able to rally troops behind him, to be a voice in that locker room, that's, you know, the thing that I was proudest of Mike during his time was becoming a captain and a leader.
Everything that happened, whether I was moved from my spot in camp and having to learn a new position, I'd be like, dang, man, like that's not how I imagined this to go, but this is where God told me that I would be. And I was like, dang, all right, I'm really in a position that I was meant to be in and that God put me in to where this reality can come true.
Down the sideline. Michael Carter on the interception for Duke.
In the business of the NFL, man, if you're a player that kind of be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, do the things you're supposed to do, you go probably get a chance, and he's so fast. You know, and again, if you look at from his freshman year all the way to his junior year, Mike was always in those top tier guys as far as numbers. You know, and they say numbers don't lie. He was always like in the top 3 or 4 in every category. So that says, okay, this kid is different.
I had grades ranging all the way from round 2 to, 7. But most of them fell in that 3, 4, 5 range, which coming out, I was hearing like 5th to free agent type stuff.
It was kind of, during that COVID period, it was like, we don't know. Nobody knew how it was going to be because it was COVID. So they didn't go to the combine that year. Everything was like at the school. But when he ran those 4.3 times, it was like, okay, he's going to get drafted. We just didn't know where.
I must say my Bishop Avery, he will always tell me, when you don't expect anything, you don't get disappointed, right? And so in my mind, I had kind of prepared myself for it can go both ways. I wanted this big party and people to come over and be prepared, for if it did happen, we could celebrate him in that moment. But it was my husband that had to reel me back in and say, no, we don't want that. One thing for sure, Michael is not a person who's always wanted to be the center of attention. And so he just didn't want the crowd. During the 4th round, the other Michael Carter was drafted, but they showed my son's picture.
And with the 107th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Michael Carter, running back, North Carolina.
Michael Carter averaged over 6.5 yards per rush. Parents in the Air Force, a really high character guy.
Yeah, he came from a military family, you're right, and everyone in that program swears by this guy, his work ethic and his toughness.
Right? So everybody was confused. I mean, we were like, what's going on? You know, which Michael Carter is it?
I left the room and just went upstairs and just watched the draft by myself.
It's kind of like clipping his nails, and he had the phone beside him, and I said, we won't bother you, but I said, but when you get the call, just come on down the stairs and let us know. And because we were just all just kind of sitting down, having our own little quiet, you know, low-key talks, and the TV was playing, and we could hear the footsteps. And so I'm looking at him, he had the phone to his ear, and he says, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I was like, you got the call? He was like, I got the call. He was like,
I got that call, and I was like, Newark, New Jersey. I was like, who's in New Jersey?
With the 154th pick of the 2021 draft, the New York Jets selects Michael Carter, defensive back, Duke.
Just the emotions like, damn, this is really happening.
There are no words to describe how excited we was for him in that moment. It didn't matter where he went. He just wanted a chance, you know, and we wanted that chance for him.
See, it's fantastic. Oh my gosh. He's a good player though, Rich. They got two good Michael Carters. They got two for the price.
Is there another Michael Carter out there? Because the Jets have more picks.
Well, can we bring the Michael Carter from the 49ers?
Yeah, you know, it was together with friends and family, and really was able to soak it all in and celebrate that moment, and, you know, give glory to God for, you know, if he makes a promise, he's always gonna keep the promise. It's a matter of when, but it'll come true. I think really what I wanted to talk to you guys about is kind of what it takes, man. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of hard work, sacrifice. I had a coach who's he with the Titans now, but he was my corners coach when I came in, T.O. And, you know, we used to watch, you know, being on the defensive side of the ball, we used to watch the guys like Ed Reed and, you know, Ray Lewis, corners like Revis, Bailey, and, you know, the corners in this league now that are doing it at a high level. And he would always ask us, you know, like, what kind of stands out to you guys when you're watching these guys on tape? And it obviously, it looks different from everybody else when you're watching Ed Reed out there and how he's diagnosing plays, how he's, you know, playing faster. It looks like these guys are just playing faster. These Hall of Famers are playing faster than everybody else on the field. And he was like, it just looks different. And he was like, and you're absolutely right, because it is different. You got to be different. You got to do things that people aren't willing to do.
You mentioned your family. Like, what was that moment like last night when you talked to your parents, and you know, what was their message to you, you know, during this process?
You know, they were super excited for me, and, you know, super proud. So, you know, I love my parents to death, and you know, I feel like I'm honoring them in a way by, you know, making it to this point, and, you know, all their hard work and support and everything paid off too. So, you know, they're just as big a part of this, you know, as I am and everybody else around me.
Do you want all together?
Yeah, all together.
Yeah, we get one, and then I'll do some with them. So, okay, you come.
This all together.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Take a bunch. Those look really nice. And do you guys? Perfect. 3, 2, 1.
You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The newspaper or the magazine, they did this, put it out, did a couple of shots. Yeah, that was a hard picture right there. That was hard. That was hard right there. Yeah, that was hard. So,
He could tell the story best.
Yeah.
He could tell the story best. Proud daddy.
This is the player that you want to have on your team to always just do it. You know, just do it. So this one goes to the one that always hit the ball, the one that always ran the bases, the one that always was on top soccer ball on the defense. The one that always made those key plays sometimes and just threw it, just like, okay, he needs to be there. Okay, you look at him like, okay, he needs to be here. Okay, he needs to be there. This is the player that you look at and say, okay, he can be anywhere. Well, he can be that. That's the most valuable player on your team. This one is going to go to Mike.
Satisfying and validations. Proven to everyone who thought maybe, I don't know, maybe he wasn't big enough or maybe he didn't go to the right school. I mean, he wanted it. He wanted to be successful. He had a goal and a dream.
I've seen it all. Got my scars down the road. Been working hard to the bone. I'm moving on, heavy load. Life is long, and don't you know?
Rush coming, Jones. On a take, duck. In the air, and it's intercepted. Michael Carter.
Mike Carter has a value system. His family has a value system that's been instilled in him from a young age, and he stayed true to that. So it doesn't matter what the outside noise, pressure, influences are. Mike Carter stays true to Mike Carter. I got a lot of respect for Mike. You know, I'm obviously older than Mike. I coach Mike. I helped recruit and develop Mike into who he is today, but all the credit goes to him. He's a guy that stayed true to who he is. He knows what his goals were and what he wants. He's been able to accomplish those at the highest level.
I have no other words other than I am proud on Sundays. I'm excited on Sundays. It's not just me, it's everybody that knows us. We're all just excited that his dreams have been fulfilled.
He always worked hard. He always do the things as a coach the right way. The first time, and as a coach, you be like, hey man, do it like Mike. You know what I mean? If you want to do it the right way, do it like the businessman.
To be a good son, good husband, father one day, Super Bowl champion, all pro, all those things. How good is it to win in New York? Well, we'll find out, really soon because that's what drives me.